was approaching, which brought on another fight with Mama. Fritz and I wanted to keep working. With only 2 days left before he would be expected to report for military duty, our time crunch was worse than ever. If my father was on the other side, then we could connect with him tonight and be free. And what if it's not him? Mama asked. I didn't dare to think about that. If it wasn't him, then our efforts here were doomed. No, we were doomed. We won't get much farther tonight, Mama said. We're all exhausted, and it's important for whoever is listening in our apartment to hear your voices. Besides, if there's bad news coming our way, I'd rather they find our tunnel while we are not here. Mama was right about everything, especially that we were exhausted. Too tired, in fact, to put up any reasonable protest for staying. So we put down our tools and followed her home. In my bedroom that night, I was so excited about what might be in the other tunnel that I was sure I would never get to sleep. But within only seconds, sleep found me anyway. I awoke early and deliberately made plenty of noise so everyone else could wake up too. We had a quick breakfast, chatting cheerfully the entire time about how excited we were for Fritz to report to the military service the next day, and about our confidence that once the state saw how well he served, Mama would surely be restored to her former job. Lies. I was tired of always having to lie. As soon as we felt it was appropriate, we ventured back onto the street. In our anticipation to reach the tunnel, we started down the sidewalk too quickly and bumped straight into Frere Eberhard. The dour woman, dour, that might be a word for your vocabulary personal dictionary. The dour woman clearly wasn't in a good mood this morning. She scowled when she saw us in work clothes and brushed herself off, even though I was sure we hadn't gotten any dirt on her. I excused their poor manners while you were out of town, Frere Eberhard told my mother, but I thought they'd have improved again when you returned, not worsened. You bumped into them, my mother snapped. You should be the one apologizing. Frere Eberhard straightened herself up and evaluated my mother's appearance. I thought you were a church-going lady, but it seems you have more important plans today. Mama and I looked at each other. With so much else to think about, none of us had remembered today was a Sunday. Mama attempted to excuse it with a joke. Well, Frere Eberhard, I suppose some days the Lord wants us in his house, and some days he wants us going about his work. Which are you choosing? Frere Eberhard reacted by wrinkling her nose as if we smelled. Maybe we did. And the Lord's work is gardening? Did your daughter mention that she promised me some of the harvest from that garden? She seemed to think it might encourage me to keep quiet in case I saw anything suspicious. Mama smiled at Fritz and me. Why don't you two go on ahead? We have to talk, mother to mother. Fritz grabbed my arm and pulled me off with him. By the time I looked back, they were already engaged in what looked like a very tense conversation. Something had changed in Mama over the last few days. She looked tired and worried, just as we all did, but she seemed younger and stronger too, as if digging the tunnel had reclaimed the spirit of who she used to be. Frere Eberhard was right, I said. I did sort of bribe her. Let Mother work it out, Fritz said. Our job is to dig. After we made it into the shelter, Fritz and I had the luxury of deciding what to do about the second tunnel without Mama getting a vote. We knew what she'd have wanted, and that once she made up her mind, the decision would be final. For Mama, any risk was too much risk. But Fritz thought Mama had made some good points last night. Other families have escaped through tunnels, he said. If the Stasi have gone to such efforts to barricade the ground above us, why not below as well? I disagreed. Why didn't Officer Mueller warn us then? Officer Mueller never said he was on our side. Fritz was right about that. If anything, Mueller had promised just the opposite, that if we were discovered, he would be there for our arrest. I listened again with my ear pressed against the tunnel wall, but this time there were no sounds. Either the other tunnel had moved farther away from us, or else nobody was digging right now. I grabbed the shovel and began digging in that direction. Whatever is ahead of us, we can't quit now, I said. Maybe it's Stasi, but what I fear even more is missing Papa's tunnel. So Fritz relented and worked with me. We had to move carefully because of the other pipes overhead, and there were large rocks in front of us. But at least we were digging again. Mama joined us soon after. When we asked what had taken so long, she said, Frere Eberhard believes you two are up to something. I tried to convince her otherwise, but she insisted I was in denial. Children today are more slippery than they used to be. A lazy mother can miss the signs. Mama huffed. She sits outside all day like a lump and then accuses me of laziness? Oops. Where I lost I jumped back too far. There we go. I shrugged. You're not lazy, but in all this mud, I can believe that I'm quite slippery. Mamma laughed, then grew serious again when she said, our conversation moved to Herr Krause's death. She's upset about it, just like the rest of us. She admitted that she was the one who had turned him in, but also insists that she had no idea what they would do to him. I told her to go inside and stop asking so many questions or there would be more deaths. Does she suspect about the tunnel? Fritz asked. I don't think so, but she didn't go inside either. Shh, quiet down, I hissed. Shh. I paused from the digging and pressed my ear against the dirt. The sounds in the other tunnel had begun, and they were closer than ever. It was impossible to know exactly, but I was sure whoever was on the other side must be within arm's length of us. Then very high up, a stick poked sideways through the dirt. It was no rounder than an earthworm, but there was lantern light on the other side, far more light than we allowed ourselves here. None of us breathed. The stick went forward and wriggled as if the person on the other end was feeling for more dirt or some rock. Feeling nothing, it was withdrawn, and then the more focused beam of flashlight came through. Still, we said nothing and didn't even move. We had been discovered, but by whom? Then, in a low voice I remember well from my childhood, someone sang an even more familiar tune. They dig and they rake and they sing a song. Papa. All right, that's the end of that chapter. Go ahead and write your $1 summary.